Hello, friends. Many people believe that a good deed to a certain person will not change the world as a whole, but we should not forget that the world will be changed forever for that very person. And not only by setting in motion a chain of unselfish kindness, but by changing that person's attitude toward life. I don't know who said it, but I really want to believe that this is how it works. Well, our story begins in Turkey, where a woman named Aygul told about the incident, which, in her opinion, gave her faith in miracles and people. How else can you call the behavior of a hero of this story? It all started when a 12-year-old boy named Karim got a birthday present of his dreams. The fact is that the boy had long dreamed of a bicycle, and he spent a long time standing in front of store windows where sports bikes sparkling with fresh paint were displayed. Maybe for someone it is not a limit of dreams, given the realities of the modern world. But the fact is that Karim's family, after the death of his father, lived extremely poor. Of course, the boy's mother had no money to buy a brand new bike, but knowing her son's dream, she saved up a certain amount of money for a few months and bought a gift for the boy at a garage sale. The two-wheeled miracle she bought didn't look very presentable, but for Karim, who was jealous of his peers, it seemed unimportant. The boy was over the moon. He dreamed that tomorrow he would be racing with his friends through the streets and even riding his bicycle to school. But soon he had to leave his iron horse. The thing is that for a few days after Karim received the long-awaited gift, he returned home empty-handed and bursting into tears. As the boy told his mother, he unwittingly exceeded the allowable speed when descending, and when an expensive car parked in the parking lot came in his way, his bicycle hit it. Karim at the last moment tried to avoid the collision, but unfortunately it did not help. The headlight of the car broke, and the bumper and the rear fender were badly bent. And only by happy coincidence, the guy managed to avoid injuries. Well, when a handsome man came out of the car and saw his car, the boy was in tears. He just pressed his head on his shoulders and did not know what to say. Of course, the boy understood everything and was well aware of the possible consequences. Only when the stranger asked the question once again, the boy told him everything as it was. It turned out that the brakes on Karim's bike did not always work for him. He tried not to ride fast, but this time he did not expect it. And when the owner of the car started to call someone over the phone, looking at the damage with a glance, the boy realized clearly that now the owner would not only take away his bicycle, but also make his mother pay for the repair of the expensive car. At that moment, the little boy would have happily agreed to get a slap on the back, but to his chagrin, the man did the opposite. He wrote down his surname and address, then told him to wait for guests, got into his car, and disappeared. Well, no need to say that when the mother met her son on the doorstep and listened to his sad story, she started to seriously think about it. At that moment, the woman just looked at her poor dwelling and cried. The mother and son spent the next 2 days in anxious uncertainty, and on the third day, there was a knock at their door. Of course, the poor woman prepared for the worst, but she certainly could not have imagined at that time what was about to happen. And to the astonishment of the mother and the boy, on the threshold they saw the very owner of the expensive foreign car. But the thing was that, smiling, he was holding the wheel of a brand new bicycle of modern modification with all the necessary frills and gadgets. Without saying a word to the owners of the house, the stranger just handed the brand new bike to the kid and said, "You know, I thought it was time for you to change your wheels." At that moment, Karim and his mother thought it was just a dream, but it was the plain truth. While the boy was happily riding his brand new bike in front of his house, the man called Yusuf thanked his mother for buying him a bike and raising a good son in spite of all the difficulties. Later, the man said that looking at Karim's old bike, he involuntarily remembered himself as a child. And even if it sounds like a fairy tale, many years ago, a similar story happened to him. Not being from a wealthy family either, he hit an expensive car, and then the owner did exactly what he was doing now. Thank you for the journey back to my childhood. For me, fixing a car or buying a bicycle is no expense at all, but for you, it's a real miracle. I hope many years from now, Kareem will do exactly the same and not break this chain of kindness. In parting, the man only shook Kareem's hand and told him to take care of his mother. Of course, the woman was so touched by the stranger's action that she soon shared her story on the internet. Unfortunately, there were no pictures of this incident, so we had to, as they say, improvise. But overall, this case once again proves that the greatness of human beings is measured not by the thickness of the purse, but by the kindness of heart and attitude towards the weak people. And most importantly, once you have done a good deed for a person, its consequences are sure to fly around the world and will warm the hearts of people for a very long time. Friends, do you agree with these words? Also write what you would personally do in that man's place. That's all for today. Rate the video if you like it, and see you soon. Bye!